Hi there, Oz Konar here. I'm the founder of Business Lending Blueprint, where I help people become business loan brokers in this recession-proof industry without needing any experience or license. We help people start and own their own 6 and 7 figure business with a laptop. In today's topic, I'm going to talk about how to make your first $100,000. And instead of focusing on how to make $1 million, how to buy your first Lamborghini, how to fly on a private jet, we're going to specifically talk about how to make $100,000. You might not think it's a lot of money. You might think it's a lot of money, but this is something that I must cover because this is the problem that most people have that stops them making more than $100,000. Because first they need to understand how to make the first $100,000. Even if you're making $100,000 or more right now, you want to understand the philosophy. So because what you're going to learn here will help you get to $1 million or more. So stay tuned. All right. Obviously, the main question is why $100,000? I didn't come up with this idea. This was a question asked to Charles Munger in one of the annual events of Berkshire Hathaway. For you, those of you who might not know who Charles Munger is, he's like the right-hand man to Warren Buffett, who happens to be one of the richest people in the world. He's a multi-billionaire. And Charles Munger is one of his partners and lifetime friends. They have a unique partnership. Charles Munger is like full of wisdom when it comes to financial literacy. He has, if you get a chance, just watch a lot of his videos. You're going to learn a lot about finances and how to make money. So one reporter asked him, or one of the guests at the conference asked him, like, what is the most difficult thing about starting and growing a business? And his answer was that your first $100,000 is the most difficult one, right? Which is kind of unique because usually online you say that, hey, your first million is the most difficult one. He's contrary to that opinion. He says that the first 100,000 is super difficult. And I 100% agree with that. I'm running an 8-figure company, and I definitely agree with you that breaking that first $100,000 barrier in business is super, super important. And many people fail that. Therefore, they fail on that goal of making a lot more than that. So we'll just talk about that. So why is first $100,000 so important in business? Well, obviously, to make $100,000, you don't necessarily need a business. You can have a job, well-paying job that pays you $100,000 or more. I used to have one. My background is in corporate America. I used to be a salesperson. My first sales job was 100% commission. So you eat what you kill every single day. If you don't sell anything, well, you got nothing to eat, right? So that was my first exposure to sales. Then I climbed the corporate ladder. My last job, my total compensation for that year that I quit was approaching $250,000. So that's beyond $100,000, right? But it took me about 6 years to get there from 100% commission with pretty much no skills to learn the profession of sales and slowly just move towards becoming a professional salesperson, then implement what I'm learning into marketing, then reach that level, then notice that I don't want to be in the corporate universe and quit that. Now, your story might be similar. You might not even be in sales, doesn't really matter. So if you have a good job that can pay you 6 figures, the problem with that is you need to continue having that job and you need to make sure that you're not fired. And if you're fired, you need to find another business. So it's very difficult to go beyond a certain point. One of the best things you can do for yourself is start a business because, we'll learn about how to make your 100,000 today. But once you figure that out, you'll find out that it's relatively easier to double, triple that in business when you have the right foundation. So that's why it's super important. Making $100,000 is a big challenge in business for a lot of people, especially when they start, right? If you look at a business who does $100,000 or more, unless they got there just by pure luck, they have some systems in place that allows them to grow the business incrementally over time. But we're going to talk about what it takes to hit the first $100,000. That applies to anyone who's looking to start their business. Many people, their motivation is to make the first $1 million. I'll tell you up front that you're not going to be a millionaire if you do not know how to generate $100,000. And the reason why people fail at making $100,000 is that they really have no plan, right? And I'm talking about, this is agnostic of what business you start with. it's really, really important for you to break down your goals so you have something to look forward to. Let's say you have an idea, you want to start a business, and you start that business. You need to know what to expect out of that, right? You need to give yourself a time frame. You need to assess how much time you're investing into that business, and you need to also understand how much time does this business need, right? A lot of disappointment comes from not knowing that. And so I know many people who start getting into a restaurant business, right? I want to have, they say, I want to have my own restaurant because I love cooking, or it's like our family business. I want to have the best looking restaurant. There's a lot of demand here. Foot traffic is amazing. They do their own research and start, only to find out that margins are this small in certain industries. So for you to make more than what you would have made having a job will take a lot of effort, and it might take, especially for a brick and mortar business, it'll take years for you to make any kind of profit that counts towards your financing, right? So the first thing about making your $100,000 is setting the right expectation. How much time will this require? How many transactions will this require? That's number two, right? So you might say, all right, so I'm going to give this 6 months. That's really, really important. Many people start a business with the hopes of making money within the first 30 days, so they can just quit what they're doing and just continue on doing that business and growing to 10 million, 100 million, right? So you can do that in certain businesses as long as you follow a certain plan. The number one reason people will fail at breaking $100,000, they haven't broken down what is required of them. They're not fully understanding what that even means. That's why people jump from one business idea to another one because the grass looks greener. One day they're doing this franchise concept. The next day they're eyeballing this e-commerce business. They start that and they find that, oh, you need an inventory. Then they want to get their insurance license and they want to sell insurance. Then someone tells them the real estate market is super hot. They go into real estate. Then they find out, oh yeah, cryptocurrencies are doing amazing. I got to jump into that. That's literally the story of some people's lives, right? And that's very disappointing because what they're not noticing is every time they start something and they don't have any incremental success, they're telling subconscious mind that they're not keeping that promise to themselves, right? Because you're telling yourself you're committing to something. Because when you're starting a business, the only person you need to convince is yourself. When you convince yourself or tell them that I'm starting this business, I'm going to make a lot of money doing this, that's an internal promise, right? And then you start with that without any other plan. Your entire goal is to just make some money. And day 15, day 20, your motivation starts wearing down. Things start looking complicated and you feel a little overwhelmed and your spirit goes down and you're like, oh man, I don't know if this was the right decision. Am I the good fit for this? Was this program the good fit? Well, I don't know what to do right now. I mean, this was, maybe I should just go back and do something else. Should I just start all over again? Instead of focusing on the business, you're focusing on doubting yourself and doubting the opportunity, doubting what's happening. Then your mind starts, supporting your hypotheses. Your hypothesis is at this point, this business might not be best for me. And your mind is collecting all the proof that will support that hypothesis because your mind wants to be on your side, right? So it wants to support your hypotheses. And at this point, you're like, yeah, maybe I just pulled the trigger too fast on this. This is going to cost me a lot of time, maybe a lot of money. You just look like a ship that just sailed without any purpose. And you ended up in the middle of the ocean. Now you see the waves rising. You're telling yourself, I don't know if this is worth it or not. I don't know where I'm going. It was safer back there at the port. Let me just sail back there. You just go back to what you were doing. What you do not notice, you're building up a habit of failure subconsciously, right? Your mind is like, oh man, he or she promised to follow through with this and it didn't work out. And now you pull back, you're back to your comfort zone, whatever that was, either that's a job or your current situation. Now you're looking for something else because you tell yourself you're entrepreneurial, right? Then you find the next opportunity, the same thing. You hit the ground running, your motivation, you're spending money, you're spending your resources. Boom, the first objection or first difficulty, first challenge knocks you down. You're back to the port again. You're back to the same place. And you do it again and again and again. And what happens is without you noticing, after you do this 4 or 5 times, whenever you take an attempt at something, Your mind tells you, buddy, you got to be very careful. Look at all the past experiences. You got burned. This might not be real either. Again, your mind will try to be on your side. It's going to start to accuse of the opportunities instead of telling you the truth that, hey, dude, you're the one who did not follow through on all of these. Now, when you're starting this new opportunity, be very cautious. That's how people become super skeptical, because they think that this opportunity will fail too. That's why you hear things like, oh, I tried so many things, none of them worked. The question is, have you actually tried? Have you actually kept the promise that you made yourself? Have you actually given your all to make it? Because do you know that it's almost impossible to fail if you give it your all, if you give it time? Many people start a business, they're not even willing to give that business 6 months. They're thinking about bailing out at the end of 30 days, 45 days. What kind of commitment is that? And what are you going to be successful at with that level of commitment? How are you going to compete against someone who has a commitment level of, I'll stay with this for the next 5 years? You won't. That your mind will tell you that, oh, you have to be really skeptical. There are people out there, there are businesses out there who can take advantage of you. So you better just stay safe where you are. And a year goes by, 5 years go by, 10 years go by. You watch other people just fly by you because they stuck with that one thing, right? So I'll tell you one thing. When we started our YouTube advertising, no one was running YouTube ads, right? I had a lot of criticism from other people who don't know anything about YouTube ads. They're like, yeah, dude, you're wasting your time. Everyone is on Facebook. Just be on Facebook, do it. So for the first year, we barely seen any results. And after that, we started learning a lot about it. We learned a lot from our mistakes. Then now we're teaching the other members in our community how to do successful YouTube marketing like we do, right? So it's super important that if you want to reach your first $100,000, you agree with yourself, you commit to yourself, not on the outcome, but on the time you're going to give to this opportunity. Whatever opportunity you're taking on, I can guarantee you that with most of the things out there, you can make $100,000, right? But you have to commit to yourself that you're not going to quit. You're not going to give up too early. The reason you quit too early is not because you're a quitter. It's because you haven't defined that time frame, your goals properly. Because if you're just starting something and you haven't talked to yourself about, what point you will consider something success or failure, you haven't clearly defined the success and the failure. How do you know if you get there? If you don't get there, you don't really know. You just go with your gut feeling. You start having butterflies in your stomach, and your blood pressure goes up, and you tell yourself, "Oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? Now I got to just." I think it was better for me to go back and do what I was doing, right? So all of those things are indications that you're making your decisions with your gut feeling than with your mind. You're not thinking like a business owner. That's why reaching that first $100,000 level is super critical, right? I work with thousands of people. Those who reach those levels are the ones who ask a lot of questions, who want to follow a system, and they tell me up front. Like I have one student, when he joined, he was like, I'm not rushing this. I'll just take my time, just consume everything, all the information, apply, because I'm going for the $10 million club. He's on his way there right now, right? So that's just how it works. I mean, on top of this video, you get access to hundreds of testimonials that you can check out of the people who are having success. Because if I look at across the board of who's like super successful, those are the people who have like well-defined goals on what they want to accomplish. And when they're not split-minded, they make up their mind, they stick with one thing. And the other thing is, do not buy into the idea of multiple streams of income. I hear that all the time. Multiple streams of income can be your biggest enemy when you're starting out. Why? Because there is this belief, it's like almost like a, I don't know, like it's like a utopian belief that if you have so many businesses, all of a sudden you'll just make a lot of money. Money will pour in. Money does not work that way. You have to have mastery over one thing first, right? Multiple streams of income has a place. It's super important. It is a wealth preservation technique for the wealthy. If you're making $1 million, $2 million, $10 million, $20 million, then you need to preserve your wealth. That's when you need multiple streams of income. When you're barely broke and you're trying to quit your job and you're trying to make your first $10,000 a month, you're trying to make your first $100,000 a year, you have no business focusing on multiple streams of income. All you need to do is pick one thing. Focus on one course until success. That's your recipe. Just focus on one thing. Give it 6 months, 6 months old. Figure out how to make your first $100,000 over that business. For most people, I'll guarantee you that you're not going to want to talk about multiple streams of income. Why? It's too early. Anything that makes you $100,000 in a short amount of time will also help you probably make $1 million. Like we have students in our community, within 3 to 4 months, they reach $10,000 to $20,000 a month. That's income, like money in the bank. If you annualize that, that's like $250,000 to $300,000. They figured out, they found a business that can pay them $300,000 to $400,000 a year. Do you not think that that business can give you $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a year? It absolutely can. So instead of leaving that's giving you $250,000, starting something from the bottom at zero, try to raise that up to that level is silly. First, take this idea, take it to $1 million, $2 million. That's how we got to an 8-figure business, honestly. We just focused on one thing, kept improving it, and it kept, working on our skill set, getting better at it, getting more results for people. Then people started talking about it. Then more people started talking about it. Then they started getting results. That's how you get there. That's the biggest trap for the people who don't have the income stability, that they just focus on multiple streams of income. So those are the things that you need to keep in mind. If you want to be a millionaire, you got to figure out how to make 6 figures, like $100,000 through your business. For you to figure out how to make $100,000 in business, you got to follow focus. Focus on one course until success, and define what success and failure means in that specific business. So with that, I'll let you go. If you're interested in what we do here, below this training, below this video, there's a link. It's a free training for you to check out. It's going to ask for your name and email so we can send you some more information and some bonuses too. I suggest you check it out. Like as you can see, many people are having massive results. If you're not in that business, you already have a business going on, just figure out if your business fits to that bill. Will it give you $100,000? And after $100,000, does it have the capacity to make you a millionaire? If it doesn't, then why are you in that business? It's so important. So with that, comment below. And if you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to our channel. It gives me an opportunity to bring more videos like this to you. Take care now.